Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of JKL Media Reviews. And we're back with our another episode of The Expanse, this time season two, episode three, Static. And to break through the static, I'm calling on my co-host, which of course includes Jesse
Hello.
and Karen.
Hi there.
Hi. So Static, I didn't mention this last episode because the character in question didn't have a big enough presence to, I think, make herself felt. But this time she has a bigger part in the episode, and that is the actress Kara Gee, who plays Drummer. And she's the XO at Tycho Station. And the reason I'm pointing her out is because I already mentioned to Jesse his probably favorite character of the series. And now, Karen, it's your turn. Because
Oh,
Kara
awesome.
G, or Drummer, as she's called, I think will turn out to be one of your, if not your favorite character.
Awesome.
She has an excellent arc, and I guess it's a bit of a spoiler that I've told you that she's has an arc. She's just a really cool character, and she's got a lot of spunk, and I think you'll like her. You'll
Awesome.
probably like Bobby, who's back in this episode too, but I think Drummer just will maybe appeal to your senses a little bit more.
Okay,
Um,
And
cool.
because we like spunk,
that's right.
right?
That's right.
Like Luke Grant.
Very much.
Yeah. So this episode is interesting. It's but catching your breath after all the stuff that we've seen go down in the previous episodes, and it's the aftermath of the raid on the space station where the proto-molecule research was going on. And at the end of that, Miller blew away Dresden, and that's made a lot of the other characters angry, unsettled, though interestingly enough, some characters understand why he did what he did, which I found interesting. And we also open with a pretty good episode or scene where the UN portion of the series it carries out its retaliatory action for Mars by blowing up
Dima.
the Deimos, which is the
Hmm.
Martian moon. So the game of chicken continues between these two factions, and so let's talk about that portion of the episode too, and we can run through everything that happens on Earth, including Asher and Christian, though I should say Coitier for those not familiar with
Hmm.
Spartacus, their scenes as well. Karen, why don't you kick us off with what you thought about what's going on Earth?
Sure. I thought it was interesting to see the dynamic between those two, Christian and Cotillard. He says to her something to the effect of, not that I wouldn't mind seeing you dead. He throws out that Um, he's working with her, but it's under duress out of loyalty for her son. And he also says something to the effect of when she says, we don't have to hang together, and he says, no, we'll hang separately. And I thought that was cool as well. And you'll have a better view, he says. Yeah, and he knows that when the minute she sends that message to Fred, her job and her life are in peril. I also noted that when she talks to Aaron Wright, says something to the effect of, I know you're worried about your husband and the grandkids. And I felt like that was a veiled threat. I'm not sure if that's how it was meant. Why would he mention them and say she's worried about them? I'm assuming that on the surface it was, hey, you're worried about them because we might go to war with Mars. To me, it felt like, hey, keep an eye on them because things can happen. I don't know if I'm reading into that or not, but man, she is tough as nails and she just has no hesitation in sending that message to Fred because she knows it's right. And again, she is although Aaron Wright says, I know you find Earth surviving is your biggest motivation. It's
Hmm.
true, but she's working against him in that way. He thinks that she's on his side, right? Aaron Wright is pretty convinced that she is working with him, and she is. doing what he says she's doing, but in a way that is working against him. So I find that statement ironic. And she's working with some urgency. I don't know if we're talking about the message she got back from Fred, that it was just a location of a stealth ship. And that was puzzling to me, but I'm assuming we're gonna see more about that in the next episode. Maybe it's something that she needs to defend from. Is it the Martians that we know? Are they using stealth ships? Or so I was speculating on that, and I know I shouldn't, but I like that storyline. I don't think it was my favorite in this episode, but I thought it was really good. I do find the relationship between Christian and Cotillard amusing.
Jesse.
I really liked this kind of storyline we're going through. Christian is a very complicated character, and she continues to surprise me. And this is someone I can't decide how I feel about her, except that I love watching her. And is she on the right side of history? I don't know. She
Hmm.
certainly feels like she is doing everything she can for Earth, but I don't know. I have complicated feelings about her. Supposedly, Ben Franklin had said, if we don't hang together, we'll certainly hang separately.
Yep.
So I thought that was a very fun line. I
Yep.
love her and Asher's relationship where there is this grudgingly, like he's doing this, as we talked about, out of respect and love for her son. And he may not necessarily like or respect her, but he's able to do this. And it's a very cool dynamic. And the idea that they are skirting at a war. And I get the feeling, right? She's trying to stop this as much as she can.
All right.
And while the others they're eager for war. They
Hmm.
want this war. Like he says, we're confident. Even though our ships are old and outdated, we have it by numbers. We
Right.
can destroy them.
Mhm.
They don't want peace. And the more I see this, the more right is, and it's hard to put direct parallels. You're getting the feeling Mars is the 13 colonies,
Hmm.
right? And Earth is Great Britain. Except that's not exactly one on one, but it in this you really, and I know we'll talk about this a little bit more, but when we talk about when they took away the moon, when she says, "What if we destroyed?" And they, of course, have multiple moons, so it
Hmm.
isn't the same thing. When they say they destroyed our sky, it just, oh my God, yes, this is ugly. And we had talked about last week, like they said very few casualties, and they said only 17 people died. So if that case, Earth was correct, right? Mars had destroyed a base, and so we destroyed a base, tit for tat. Sorry that 17 people died, but your move, Mars. So yeah, I love this storyline. I'm fascinated by it. As you talked about, I will always love Babylon 5 because of the area and how it was unique, not based on a book. But you have a little bit of West Wing in space here, just slightly, right?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And
I ask,
sure.
it might be, I don't know, just not answerable. But I'm struggling to understand exactly what Earth's beef is with Mars. I'm guessing it's because Mars wants to be independent
Damn fine
and
question.
Earth still wants control over them. Is that the crux of their issue with Mars?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Yep. Because
Okay.
there's a there's a trade thing going on because while Earth still has lots of natural resources, there are certain ones that they've depleted that they need from from
Right.
Mars and the belt. So
Yeah, we knew that about the belt, but I
yeah,
feel like they
kind of like
skirted
say like
over.
precious metals kind of thing,
Okay.
something
So
like
they
that.
want control over those.
They don't want to
Uh,
lose control. Yeah,
and Mars wants independence, so they're seeing that control threatened.
yeah. Mars wants better trade deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Kind of.
Got it.
To be treated as not bastard children. That's why it really does feel like the colonies of independence. We want to be treated to be called an Englishman, but not have the full rights, to quote 1776, my favorite musical.
Oh, I love that.
That was Hamilton before Hamilton. So, yeah, this is a great storyline.
Yeah, yeah. And the great thing about this series is all these storylines really tie together well as well. So I think that's
Yeah,
the events happening on one storyline are being reflected in another as well. But in general, the UN storyline is more the long game, and
yeah,
the other storylines are kind of like this is what's happening right now that is impacting that long game story. So
yeah.
Right.
it's pretty interesting. You don't usually get that. I guess the thing that really stands out for me is, and we've seen this scenarios played out in other movies like War Games or whatever like that, but it's this playing chicken with two powers that if they would just get through the bullshit and talk to each other, these power plays would be unnecessary. But it just shows that our emotions still really control a lot of our actions at times.
I think part of it is that Aaron is doing some shady shit and he doesn't want
Yeah,
that to get found out.
yeah,
And that's part of his motivation to
yep,
be able to control things. Okay. So,
yeah. As and Jesse says frequently, every villain is the hero of their story.
mm,
They all think they're what they're doing justifies the ends justify the means.
Yeah,
So
and it just, when you think about it, that we talk about that Mars has had to waste millions of dollars and time that they could have done for terraforming to
right,
make their home.
yeah,
And that's why Bobby is so bitter.
yes,
And that you really understand what they're fighting for.
yeah, for sure. And then, so the rest of the action takes place on Tycho Station, but there's like multiple storylines going on here. We've got the Miller storyline. We've got to a lesser extent the Holden and Naomi storyline, and then we've got the what do you call it when girls hang out? It's not a bromance. Is there a girlmance, sistermance? I don't know what they call it, but you got the drummer and the Naomi
a
storyline as well.
Galentine's Day,
Yeah, Galentine,
I guess.
girl time.
Girl hang.
Girl hang. So interesting storylines. I think the most complex one for me was the Miller storyline. I don't know, Jesse, how you felt about the Miller storyline. Were you trying to figure out where his head is at? Because everybody seems to be trying to understand exactly why he shot Dresden. And for the most part, everybody's getting it wrong. So I wonder how you felt about that.
So I'm curious why, and I'll tell my feelings, and then I want you to hear why you think he did it. This was a rebirth episode for him, and we see it physically by shaving and getting a fresh haircut.
Right.
He has reset and has redetermined I'm a cop. I'm an ex-cop, but he's after feeling lost and not sure what's going on, he feels like he has a little bit of a new purpose. And what that is, not sure yet, but I thought it was an interesting storyline, right? The idea that this guy was a mass murderer, he deserved to die, and if I didn't kill him, there is a chance that greed is the wrong word, but selfish intent could let them maybe we're going to work with the Nazi scientists because we want to have a space race. Our our Nazi scientists are better than Russia's Nazi scientists, and we use them, and all is forgiven because of our needs. And I just don't want to see that happen. And to me, that's why he killed him. And also because he killed Julie and all these other people. But this was just a very simple, and as Amos says, you and I think black and white. And those two in another life would have been best friends. But based on circumstances, they can't.
Mm.
And there was that, I love that scene where here's your bag. Do you want a shot? And yeah, free booze is free booze. And he's going through it, and Miller takes the bottle and moves it where he can't reach it. Okay, you're going a little too happy with my booze. Yes. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so, but you don't, I don't think you've articulated why you think Miller shot Dresden.
Oh, I think because he needed to die.
Why?
Because
But
for all
why?
those reasons.
Okay.
Because one, he is evil and is going to continue hurting people. And unless he kills them, someone is going to let him do what he wants to do.
Okay. Fair enough. Karen.
Dresden is a dangerous weapon, or he was. I think Miller saw when Fred and Holden were trying to negotiate with Dresden, he could see through that Dresden had a mission that was destructive and was going to kill more people than he had already killed. This is my speculation. Yeah, he hated him for him being complicit in the murder of Julie and being the architect of the aerostation genocide. So he hated him for all that stuff, but he could also see that this guy didn't value life at all, and he was dangerous as long as he was around. So he could see through that, and he's okay, you guys can negotiate him, but I'm taking him off the board. I find it interesting that Dresden was behind a lot of stuff, severing the empathy of the minds of his scientists was telling that he understood that if they had any kind of sympathy, they wouldn't be his tools anymore. No matter what happened, he would have continued on this path, or he would have tried to at least, and it would have caused more belter heartache. He could see that this dude didn't value life at all, and he would have just gotten worse. At least that's my read on the situation. So there was a chance, if he was breathing, that genocide would continue.
Yeah, I think you both got it. And I think what reinforces that viewpoint is when we discover that the survivors from the space station all have been altered, their minds have been altered to basically remove their empathy from their brains. So they're basically all sociopaths. They don't care
Yep.
about anything else. And they're the ultimate testers. I guess you
Yep.
could
Yeah.
say no moral qualms about anything. So those would make for perfect pawns for anybody that has any sort of desire to grab power through whatever means necessary. They wouldn't have to worry about leaks or traitors or sabotage or anything of that nature because these people are totally locked into the problem and not the surrounding moral issues of it. I think that's borne out quite well.
We can see that they have some emotion because Cortazar, he kills one of the fellow prisoners, right? He attacks him when the dude is messing with his continuing on his mission, on his research.
Yeah.
So he does have some emotion, but it all has to do with you stop my research. That's the single-minded thing I'm doing. I can't handle that. And that's where my anger comes out, right? So they have emotion. They just don't have feeling towards other humans. They're all test subjects to them.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they're lab rats.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're the maze setters for the lab rats.
Yeah.
So what was interesting, delving a little further into Miller's storyline is how Amos brings him some supplies for his cancer treatment and that, and they have the discussion about why Holden is so upset because he's a righteous person and whatnot. And such a street smart guy, and Karen, I'll lead you into this. I found it interesting that Amos was able to understand not only what Miller did, but because of his upbringing or background, he's able to discern the fact that before they even find out about the result of the brain scan, that Eros is this guy's holy grail, and that if they give him access to data from Eros, he will basically do whatever they want. So I found that quite interesting, and I was curious how you felt about that part of the episode.
Yeah, Amos being pretty crafty in this episode. He is pretty perceptive in these two cases. He could see why Miller did what he did. I think he could see that. He might be the only one that's not blinded by righteousness in this
Hmm.
case. Fred may understand it as well, but I think Fred is towing the line between understanding Miller and understanding that Miller can cause chaos.
Right.
But I think Amos, when he goes to talk to Miller, he didn't have any intention of sitting down with them. But once he gets offered the drink, he's maybe I can chat with him about some things. And he waxes philosophical, to use a turn of phrase. He talks to Miller about his motivations and the fact that they are more similar than they are different. And he sees that Miller is a tortured soul. I do think that Amos sees a lot more than personally I would have given him credit for at this point. And him sussing into the fact that this dude is fixated on Eros, and the only way to get information out of him is to give him something tantalizing.
Hmm.
And they do have the data about Eros that they can share. That's also what they're learning in this episode. And it parallels with the Diogo storyline with Miller as well, where Diogo, they're creating music around all these tortured emissions from Eros. Miller doesn't like that. But Amos is seeing, hey, we know this guy doesn't. Let's give him a taste of this and see what he starts babbling about. And it works. It's way better than Holden's technique of trying to appeal to his humanity when
Yeah,
he doesn't have any, right? That
exactly.
guy is,
Yeah,
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 Corda,
exactly.
Corda, whatever, the scientist. Yeah. And I thought it was interesting when Amos, you can tell he's a security guy when he says, hey, his pedophilia is Eros. And knowing the comparison between those two, it's a pretty big leap, but it's a very prescient. He can see that is what's going to get him.
Yep.
And it, again, I'm liking him a little bit more with every episode. So that's
Good.
good because I don't want to not like a character in
Right.
this.
Yeah, Jesse, how are we on the Amos love scale?
I am I we originally I called him the Jane character from
Mhm.
Firefly, right? Not to be confused with Thomas Jane, who's also in this series.
Yeah.
But he is a little bit more than that. It is he I don't know his background, but he almost has speaking of another character, this Marine mindset
Mm.
of when there's food in front of me, I eat. When there's drinks in front of me, I drink. When there's sex available, I F. And
Hmm.
I go where I go. I do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And core family country and just I like him a lot. It isn't that he doesn't have thoughts. It's just they aren't important. I'm not being paid to think. I'm being paid to follow orders and to have my crews back. I do think it's interesting that very quickly Holden has become the captain and they all call him that. Captain says,
I took
like,
note of that as well.
it not like, how did this happen? There wasn't an official rank chain of command change or anything, but they've all accepted Holden is the captain. He is the leader.
Well, we
Yeah,
had that conversation with Naomi saying, I don't want it.
yeah,
And I think Amos is okay. If she doesn't want it, then it's going to
yeah.
be.
Yeah.
And it is, and Holden is taking it seriously. He is really disturbed by the weight of command. I
Yeah.
know we haven't gotten there yet, but Naomi's, hey, we've got this suite. We are ready to have lots of sex and room service. And he's, yeah, but all those people died. Get over it. And I'm not telling him that. I understand that. But she's okay, but we can't do anything. And hey, we've got sheets. I remember once in an interview, a porn actress said that a scene with a bed is like Christmas because
Mhm.
normally they have to have sex everywhere else. And if it is, the scene is going to be where they're in a bed, it is like Christmas. Yes. And so Naomi's, hey, we're not
Yeah.
in a space. We're just say, hey, there's sheets and it's not a little bed. Let's enjoy. And I'm like, Holden, dude, I
Yeah.
get it, but put it aside for a little bit. Have
Yeah.
some soy burgers.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's quite telling that you both made note of the fact that everybody else is accepting Holden as captain. And I think they have all come to realize that he is a righteous dude. And
Yes.
that is a person that they're comfortable with being captain because his motivation is always a moral one and not a selfish one. And I think that's why even Amos has come around because he can see that, especially what happened on that space station with Dresden, that Holden is the guy that they want as captain because he's not celebrating that. He's torn up about it. I think the only other person that's really suffering in the episode is Cass, as he's trying to reenact that space simulation to try to save the other boarding capsule that got destroyed, and he just keeps running that simulation. But Cass is much more focused on small small scope kind of items, whereas Holden has the capacity for the bigger picture kind of thing. And it's interesting. Holden doesn't really have a lot in this episode, but his scene with Jesse, you've covered the scene with Naomi perfectly. Holden's got his head up his ass. Naomi just wants to have some fun, which leads to the scenes with Drummer. And I was always a little bothered by it that Naomi went so willingly with her. But I think you've crystallized for me why she did what she did is because Holden's moping and she just wants to let off some steam. Karen, what are your thoughts about Drummer and Naomi together?
I shipped them a little bit, to be
There's
honest.
a little bit of that going on, isn't there?
Yeah, there
I
is.
was like, possibly, like, I'm a big Naomi and Holden fan, but I'm like, maybe there's a little
Yeah.
bit of there,
Holden's being a wet blanket right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
And they have a spark. I'm sorry.
there is a lot of spark.
Yeah,
Mm.
Yes.
a lot of, I don't know, charisma between the two of them. But
And boy, they looked good in their racquetball or their
Right?
handball uniforms.
they surely did.
They're both very slender and very athletic.
Yep.
And they
I
were raving
know
together.
Yep.
handball shouldn't be
Sexy.
sexy, but it was. And
It
then in
was.
the bars, it
Yeah.
was, yes.
Yeah. And them dancing together. And by the way, the creepy guy dancer is apparently one of the crew. In real life, he was someone that worked on the show.
Okay.
But I loved them dancing together, blowing up, playing sports, dancing. They're both outlets. And for lots of people, they are. But for her, definitely, she needs to expel some of that energy that she
Mhm.
has. And she wanted to do it with Holden, but Holden is dead set on just sitting around and ruminating on the horrible things that have happened. And she's, okay, I can't change that. I'm not going to think about it right now. I'm going to focus on other stuff, on getting things out of my system. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is to use my energy up. And I think drummer, thank you. I think she is of the same mindset, and she sees that in Naomi. She sees Naomi is frustrated. She's got to blow off some steam. Let's go. And I think they really do have this camaraderie together. I would love to see them together, to be fair. I would just love it.
Yeah.
I don't care if she plays the field with both of them. I'm
I got
okay
no
with that
problem.
too.
Well,
Hold'em is
aren't we liberal?
Hold'em is a
I'm very
family that
liberal.
had, and Holden came from a family that
Yeah.
had a group marriage, so
A
he's cool with
poly.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And they're
Yeah.
not,
yeah,
it's not like they're married.
No,
yeah,
they're not.
They're just hanging. Yep.
Love is
yeah,
love. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So I'm making light of the situation a little bit. I
Mm.
do think it was very important for Naomi to do what she did, because otherwise she's just going to bottle things up and it's going to explode at some point. So she's letting the steam out. And Holden is not that kind of guy. He's a very inward looking person, I feel.
Yep.
You could see that with the way he interrogates the scientist as well, that he has a calming countenance, and that's his way of dealing with the dude to try and appeal to his emotions. And again, that's wrong. He's wrong in a lot of different things. He has the right feelings, but he is not using them correctly. And Naomi, while she knows there's something serious going on that they're going to have to face, I don't think she is blowing that off completely. She's
No.
just saying there's nothing we can do about it right now while they
Yep.
fix the ship.
Yep.
So I'm not going to think about it right now. I'm going to have to think about it later. Let's let this go. And for her, I think that was the best decision. I loved her scenes with Drummer. You could really tell that Drummer understood her. They
Yep.
got each other.
Yep.
And yeah, definitely. And the flip side would be like Miller and Amos, right? That they got each other too, but it wasn't in a good way. Whereas I think Naomi and Drummer, that is a match made in heaven to me. They complement each other because they get each other.
Mm.
I don't think Holden gets Naomi. And I'm not saying that's a horrible thing. You cannot get your partner all the time.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
they're new. He can
Mhm.
learn about her still.
Yeah.
I don't think they worked very closely on the Cant.
No.
Yeah.
And they were at odds with each other. Was my
Right.
feeling on the Cant.
Sure.
Because she was more by the book than he was. He was much more.
I don't want to
For
be.
whatever reason, he just was cruising.
Yeah, he didn't want to be there.
Because he was drifting, basically.
Yeah.
And
And now he's got a
wanted to
purpose.
accomplish something. Now it's flipped. He's got a purpose. He's much more, well, like I said, he's much more morally motivated, and he's got that guilt complex thing going.
Sure.
Everything that bad happens is his fault, and he's got to try to fix
Yeah.
things.
And it's not that Naomi doesn't have that morality. I think she does. I think she has a similar morality, but she needs to enact it in a different way.
Yeah,
And
it's not her main driving force. And she can step back and say, okay, we just went through some shit. Now it's time to let off some steam. Whereas
right.
that's not how Holden
Right.
works. So
He's tortured.
yeah.
And she's not.
Yeah.
So,
It's
and
an
I think
interesting
Alex
mix.
you mentioned Alex, he's also tortured
Yes, he's very tortured.
he's fixated on saving more people. And I think he's blinded by that. And I feel like Holden is the same way, blinded by their guilt
Yep.
of not doing the right thing.
Yep.
And I thought that made it interesting, right? They're all handling the post-stress, post-traumas, right?
Yep.
The
Yep.
idea of seeing that half the people died.
Yep.
And say Naomi, while grieving, is like life is continuing. We've got, as Karen said, there's nothing else I can do right now. So I have to embrace life now the way I can. And Alex is okay. Again, if I was half second faster, I could have saved this many people. And once go
in
ahead.
the back of his mind, do you think he's saying maybe next time? Because
Yes.
honestly, I think that might be there, but I think part of it is he's just so tortured that he can't help but relive it over and over again. I
Oh,
think
interesting.
half and half,
I
right?
really think he was just trying to find a solution so that it wouldn't happen the next time.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's part of it.
I
Yeah.
But
like
I
that
also
twist
think
though, that also he just can't,
he's
you
just
know.
fixated. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
interesting. Yeah, I never read it that way, but that's quite possible.
I think it's both.
Some people have to relive the pain
Yep.
Yeah.
for whatever reason. I can't fathom that, but yeah. I,
Yeah.
I think the other thing I wanted to point out about Drummer that's notable is she was very impressed with how the Rocinante survived the fight.
Yeah.
She said like 1 millimeter, an inch, or whatever you said, your reactor would have been gone, and but
Yeah.
still, she said, you're whoever flew this ship did a hell of a job, and this is a
Yeah.
hell of a ship. So she's got that military side to her as well.
Yeah. And she said, we are going to treat her as if she was our own. Going to.
Mhm.
I also think that is a really different on this show, that there is repercussions of that fight. They're
Yep.
having to they're having to feel this
Yep.
and repair it. And I just think that's very cool. And so yeah, I was really glad to see that. The
That
Awesome.
other
was an
thing,
interesting conversation too between Dermer and Alex,
yeah,
where she is praising the ship. You can see how happy she is that the ship performed so well, and Alex is like, "What are you talking about? We didn't
Mhm.
yeah,
save half those people."
Yep.
yeah. And to repair it, and how this is a badass ship, right? She
Yep.
says there's other ships that wouldn't have lasted as well.
Yep.
And so good. I did want to, and I assume you're going to get there, but we were talking about Amos, right? The, who the hell knew he would come up with it when you're talking to child predators? This is how you get them to talk.
Right. Yep.
I thought that was like, first off, where did he come from that? And it's true, right? I've told the story multiple times, that not about predators, but a guy named Norm Hitzges is a sportscaster here in his 80s, and he is just has interviewed everyone. He's a sports talk show host forever. And he said that if you talk to Nolan Ryan, arguably one of the best baseball pitchers of all times, and you ask him about his 7 no-hitters, you'll get a bored conversation. If you ask Nolan Ryan about the couple of home runs he hit, he'll talk your ear off. And
Mhm.
I always think about that when I'm interviewing someone. What can I ask that this they don't get asked all the time?
Yep.
And so to have this, no, what you need to do, and then they do. The guy, he opens up,
Hmm.
and this is scary what they're doing, and how they're this proto mass, whatever.
Proto
It,
molecule.
yeah, they are playing with just fire.
Yep. Yes, they are, which is very scary.
Yes, it really is.
Yeah.
And that's our biggest mystery is what the hell is this thing doing?
And
That
that's
the scientists think is going to be miraculous, but
yeah. Wasn't it eerie when they gave the data pad or whatever it was to the scientist? What was his name?
cortisone, cortisol.
Cortazar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of sounds like cortisone. I like that
Mhm.
connection because of the brain. And he fiddles with it. And what the kids that Miller's hanging with, they treat it like music, but it's
Yep.
actually the people on Arrows, and they're making these noises, and there's also voices in it, and it's all just really creepy. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't have much
And
more
the
to say
fact that
about it than that, but
it's a countdown,
yeah,
which again, that's what are
countdown
they
to
counting
what?
down to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which leads us to back to Miller again and the final scene with him and Johnson. And the Miller walks in and says, "We got to destroy Eros." And I think everybody else at the Tycho station is probably coming to that conclusion, but at different speeds. But Miller and Johnson are says, "How are we going to destroy such a big object?" And then they look at the Mormon spaceship, the Nuvo. Jesse, I'm wondering what did you read from that scene? Did you were you left, what are they doing or what are they thinking?
Yeah, so the thought is he going to somehow, and I don't know how you could, he's gone to the Mormons and has made the, oh, I want to find peace and all this other stuff. Is he going to somehow hijack that and use that to destroy and then kill even more innocent people? Yeah, so I am not sure what that is. Fred is an interesting character. The actor is, I really enjoy watching the actor. I say that a lot about the series. There is
Mhm.
some really great acting talent on this,
Yeah.
but and how he's living with this and what he's trying to do is very complicated. So yeah, my thought is they're going to somehow hijack that to use it as ramming speed, a bomb to destroy this, which is crazy because that it's full of it would be full of people unless they're going to try to steal
No,
it
I'm guessing they're
before.
going to steal it.
Yeah. Can you run a ship that big with only a few people? I don't
Hmm.
know.
Interesting. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that storyline plays out. Technically, Tycho Station would not be stealing that ship because they're building it for the Mormons. They would more likely term it as commandeering
Okay.
for another purpose. We'll have to see how that plays out. Before we leave Tycho Station, I just wanted to point out something that Jesse mentioned about Miller's conversion with him shaving his hair and whatnot, giving a different hairstyle. I think what makes it seem like it's the right choice is the fact that when he's doing it for a second, he sees Julie behind him.
Hmm.
And so we're getting that interesting Miller-Julie connection is still there. And what you want to attribute that to is if he's hallucinating or it's like in that same realm of if you watch this Battlestar remake when Buck comes back and she's is she real or is she an angel or whatever. So it's metaphysical and it's left for you to interpret how that's relationship is playing out there. But in his mind and for us as viewers, I think it's meant as a visual cue that whatever Miller's thinking he's going to do next is the right decision for him. I just wanted to
Yeah, and
point that out.
there was that moment as well when he is looking through his belongings and wants to make sure that the beads are still there.
Yep.
That's what turned to my husband and I'm like, are the beads still there? And then he finds them. That's the most important thing. He doesn't care about the medicine that will help him live. He cares about the connection that he felt he had with Julie and the things that they have done and that have impacted her life. And that is also like a switch in his head when he sees that touchstone, when he sees her in the mirror. I loved the conversation he had with the Mormon dude. You could tell the minute he starts talking to him and he's tell me about your journey. It was bullcrap.
Yeah.
He was letting the guy talk and it's almost like the interrogation they had with the scientists where they're playing into what motivates him. And it's the same thing that Miller does with the
Absolutely.
Mormon
Yep.
guy
He's
playing
using that.
into
Yeah, he's using that visit to scope out the ship.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I love that they showed him go past the picture of the icon that's on the front of
Yeah,
the
the
Navi,
masthead, the
right?
masthead. Yeah.
And there's something really big. And I'm guessing it's not going to be full of Mormons, that they're just going to take it
Mm.
while it's still being constructed and use it. That's my guess, at least.
We shall see. Je-
Ramming speed.
Jesse, anything to say about the Miller Johnson?
Yeah, it's very interesting. In a odd twist, I actually was interviewed this week for a Breakfast in Hell, a deconstruction podcast where the guy who joined us, Daniel, does a podcast about people's spiritual journey.
Mm.
And we discussed mine. And we had a really interesting discussion. He and I had similar upbringing.
Hmm.
And it started with, let's talk about how you were raised in the church and your journey.
Right.
So that made me like, oh, okay, I just did that. Maybe it's for a podcast. And so yeah, I think it's interesting. And it does feel right. Like it, by the way, I still don't like necessarily the hairdo, but I think it's better shaved on both sides than just one side. But it does seem like he's ready to, we'll see what he does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you and his hair? I loved the asymmetrical haircut. I thought it was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. It yeah, it does work for the character, I think. Only thing that bothers me is how his sideburns go straight and down on a point a bit. Like, why didn't he just either make it a point or cut it straight across? Choose one
Yeah.
or the other. That sort of half straight, half point. I don't know why. That bothers me more than the asymmetrical haircut, but
Yeah,
that's just me. That's weird.
Yeah.
he's cool looking.
Yeah, I should have included this right up when we were talking about what's going on Earth, but because it was so tied tightly to that is the Bobby scenes and her squad and their interpersonal tensions because one of the guys was born on Earth and that. Karen,
Yeah.
I'll just let you talk about that. I think it was more of a flavor part of the episode than anything significant. I don't really
Yeah,
have a lot to say about it.
showing temperaments
Yeah.
of her crew. It's not just that he was born on Earth in Texas. His Texas accent pretty good, yeah. It's
Yeah.
very light,
Yeah.
but it's also the fact that the rest of them have things that you could have beef with too. I do think that what's her name? The one who is privileged that her family has done Hillman, that her family is like influential, and even though it looks like she got on the squad because she's good at her job, there is
Yeah.
a beef saying, hey, you're a Nepo baby. You got assigned here from your family's names on everything. So I think there's things that they can each have beef with. And we already know from the earlier episode that they make fun of Bobby because the commander has a crush on her. There's interpersonal issues with all of them, but at the end of the day, they come together because they have this, again, their motivating factor is the same, even though they're different. It mirrors the Rossi, that they all have different temperaments and they all have different ways of going about things, but ultimately their goal is the same. And they, as one of them said, they ruined our sky.
Yeah. I thought that was
And
so beautiful.
yeah, it's very poignant as well, where
Yeah.
on Earth, Aaron Wright is like, yeah, they can't even, it's like Venus to us. It's nothing.
Yeah.
And to them, it is part of their sky.
Yeah.
And you can see that is their ultimate motivating factor. They see that Earth doesn't give a shit about them if they're not under their thumb. And that's how they come together at the end by saying that we've been given orders to go somewhere else, but we're still of the same mindset that we got to do what we got to do. And I thought it really showed a lot about their personality. And again, it's showing and not telling. They're showing those kind of personality quirks
Yep.
between all of them. So I think it was important, but like you said, it wasn't a big part of the episode, but I do think there's some important beats there.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I really like is we are learning more about that culture, right? He has dust in his blood, just like
Mhm.
the rest of us. The idea, I love that they destroyed our sky. And who do we fight for? Mars. Who do we fight
Hmm.
for? Mars.
Yep.
The idea that, and I thought it was brilliant to hear Christians saying they train in Earth gravity.
And 1G, yep.
Yeah, 1G, because when they come for us, it will be a attack. They
Hmm.
will come on this.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, you have that over you. And absolutely, Mars feels that Earth has destroyed them, that Earth has taken advantage of them, and it needs to be fixed. They need their independence. And yes, I absolutely adore Bobby, right? And I love that she borders on insubordination
Mm.
with her
Mhm.
commander.
Yep.
Yeah.
But she's really good at what she does, so therefore he has to good. Okay, shit, I just got to put up with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the carryaway from this section of the episode is just how intense the dislike of Earth is with the Martians.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
so
one
we
could,
need to dream. We need to, and like all we can do is be ready.
Yep.
So we're gonna focus on doing what we can do, and we just have to do it. Yeah.
yeah, and one could say that Travis might actually be more dedicated because he chose Mars
Yes.
and the rest of them were born there. He might actually be more dedicated to the cause than the rest of them. And
Mhm.
they're not seeing,
Yep.
they're just seeing Earth.
Yeah. It's if you were to put it in gender terms, a woman doing a man's job always has to be better than men
Yep,
Yes.
because
You
everybody's watching her, waiting for her to make a mistake.
yep,
Sadly, that's true.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking to someone who has lived it,
Yeah.
especially
I'm
a
sure.
woman in STEM.
Yeah.
That is the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Alrighty, that was a much longer discussion than I thought we were going to have. But once you get into these episodes, they just lend themselves to peeling back these onion layers of complexity. So that's really cool.
there's a lot of nuance to it.
Yes,
Yes,
there
there
is,
is.
and it's a lot of fun to talk about.
Mhm.
So enjoying these conversations. It's really increasing my enjoyment of the series all over again. So that's very
It was
cool.
grilled cheese this week, by the way,
Okay,
Oh,
for
very
nice.
our
good.
date. Yep,
And I hope the same is happening to our listeners as well.
same.
Okay, just go around the table quickly. Any last thoughts? And if you're so inclined, if you want to rate the episode, I think rating is it's a bit of a waste of time because I think generally all these episodes are pretty well at the same level. But still, I appreciate the heritage of that quirk that we did. Karen,
Yeah.
what about you?
Yeah, I agree with you that they're all superlative. They're all really good. I think this one was more of a building episode, a building block, where it was giving a lot of forward motion with the underlying issues. And then we're going to get like the action scene, and I'm doing air quotes, the action scenes coming up, where they
Mhm.
actually put things into practice. Yeah, we don't have to rate it. I'm fine with that. Like I would give all of these like a 8.5 or a 9. It's just
Yep.
they're really good. But yeah, there's not a lot more to add. I think we dissected it pretty well. I just love seeing, as I said, the nuance with all these characters. It's very gratifying to watch.
Cool. Jesse.
I like rating it because I like to hear what you guys come up with. That is the only reason. Yeah, I agree. These are sticking around 8.5 to 9. I'm sure there will be a 10 that will come up and we're like, holy shit, where did
Mhm.
Okay,
that
I'll
come
give
from?
it
Yeah.
an 8.5 razors
Okay.
for Miller
Mine
shaving his
is
head.
8.5. Leave the bottle
Damn it.
from the
You took
barmaid.
mine.
And I
Yeah.
did love when you're tapped out, and that was my tip.
Yeah,
Right?
that was
Like,
great.
yeah.
That was
Yeah.
great. And Diogo
Uh,
trying to pick her up. That was funny too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I do love the two kids, and they're not kids, but the other
Yeah.
people, they've been interesting characters.
Yeah.
Diogo and Staz.
Yeah, they're great. I'll give it 8. Girls just want to have fun. 8.5 girls just want to have fun.
Awesome.
Yes. Perfect.
And girls, they
Um,
wanna have fun.
And with that, we'll be signing off for this episode. And if people want to find you, Jesse, where can they go and what other kind of things do you do?
I am at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter, Blue Sky, Jesse Jackson on Facebook, where I may give up posting political crap for Lent.
May. You notice he said
May,
May.
it's hard to stay quiet during this difficult time. And you can hear me talking music on Set Listing Bruce. I just had Scott Shea, and we had a wonderful episode talking about the legacy of Sam Cooke. So that was a
Mm.
kind of nice thing. We just had Lou and Karen discussing Bruce Springsteen's new single, Streets of Minneapolis, which was a lot of fun. And I will do Small Council Matters on the Tuning into Sci-Fi TV. The Night of the Seven Kingdoms is the new Game of Thrones series, and episode 4 dropped this week. Instead of on Sunday, they did it on Friday so they wouldn't compete with the Super Bowl. And it was the best episode yet of the series.
That's awesome.
Karen.
Yeah, you can email us at jklmediareviews@gmail.com. I am at Oliveria on social media. And I got to say, I'm not really participating in the social media thing right now because it's a cesspool of
Yeah.
just awfulness. I don't want to.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I
Yes.
don't want to think about it when I'm doing something like that. I do digest information about it, but I use Twitter as a fun outlet, and it's not that anymore. I'm not there very often, but you can follow me if you like at Oliveria. My outlet right now is playing Warcraft. That's where I'm at this point. And I want to recommend one of my things that I do is I work for a company that produces podcasts. And one of our stars right now is called The Brainy Business, and it's dissecting behavioral science. And it's a super interesting podcast. I urge you guys to go out and listen to it with Melina Palmer. She's really great and so interesting. She had a discussion about the impact of McDonald's, the impact of Costco, things like that. Peloton, even she did, and how it relates to behavioral science. So I highly recommend checking her out. It's way different than this, but she's very cool. And she just hit, I think, 300 episodes
Wow.
a
Cool.
little while ago. Yeah, anyway,
Awesome.
that's my stuff.
All right. And I can be found at JKL Media Reviews on YouTube. We're, of course, doing The Expanse, and we just finished season 2 of Pluribus. Was it season 2? No, season 1.
Season 1.
Season 1. I'm getting my series mixed up. Sorry.
Yeah, 2 of Severance, 1
Severance,
of,
yes.
yeah.
And as Karen just pointed out, we've done Severance as well. Plus, we have a lot of other one-offs of smaller series, usually short-run series, Peripheral, Station 11, which I would give a special shout out to. I think that's a criminally underviewed series that was just beautifully done. We also do some music, done a bit of Bruce there. We've done some comics. And on my home YouTube channel, Lou's Reviews, we have our archived episodes of Babylon 5, the entire series, plus the animated movie, as well as my writer and Stephen King podcasts. And on Twitter and X, you can find me at Lou W. Sytsma, Sytsma. And with that, we'll see you in a week when we come up with episode 4, which is entitled Godspeed. Till then, take care, so long, and bye-bye.
Bye.
And scene.
The proceeding has been a JKL Media production.